All right, the 2-1. Who are you taking?
Yeah, this is hard, man. This is a hard one. I could go like a million of different ways with this. I don't really want to
I
take
feel
a
like
tight end.
I feel like if Golden goes in the first round, you got to take him here. He
and
probably goes in the
and
first
that's
round
who
if he
I'm
goes in the
leaning.
first
Like
round.
I actually have feelings about Jackson Dart. Like I actually really do like Jackson Dart quite a bit, but yeah, Golden is probably who I would lean here. Yeah, the rumors that he's like the first wide receiver off the board, I think, are a little crazy. But talk about a guy at the combine too that absolutely improved his draft stock. This is a guy that was. Let's see, what did he do last year again? I just want to see his style off the top of my head. He was pretty.
Yeah, consensus right now on Matthew Golden, by the way, is number 12 overall to the
Yeah,
Cowboys. That is the
that would
consensus
be
pick for Matthew
crazy.
Golden. Be really high. Be
But
really
he was
high.
productive, man. Yeah, two okay years at Houston. Transfers to Texas. A pretty stellar season there. 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. Everything just looks really smooth. Like you watch him come in and out of his breaks, the hands are really smooth. This is the guy that I think is going to excel at the NFL level. Like he doesn't scream wide receiver one to me. But I think this is the guy that can easily slot in as a really productive wide receiver too, and he'll be a focal point of an offense. So I'd be feeling pretty good. If you're team one and you start with G&T Golden, you're adding two starting caliber players onto your roster there. Yeah, I'd be pretty fired up about that.
His analytical profile is similar to, say, like Lad McConkey. And you had to be a Lad believer because there were some people that just weren't seeing it with Lad. I
Yep.
feel like if you want Matthew Golden, you got to be a believer. Um,
Yeah, I'm trying to find a
he's
good
gotten
comp
comp to
for
him.
him here. Yeah, you got
Yeah,
some?
Lad McConkey, Emmanuel Sanders has been comped as well for Golden.
E-Man's
I
a
will
good
say
one.
I haven't spent too much time with Golden. Um,
All right.
it's so hard to evaluate the Texas passing offense because Quinn
Yes.
Ewers sucks. It's just so hard to know Isaiah Bond. Then last year you have Golden, Isaiah Bond. Then last year you have Worthy and you have Adonai Mitchell. It's so hard to evaluate like how
Yeah.
good these guys are because Ewers is terrible and they
Yeah.
all like eat into each other's share. So
Santana
um,
Moss I've got. That's an interesting one. That'd be a hell of a hit if he's similar to
Golden's
Santana Moss.
4.29. Gordon's 4.29 reminds me like Santana Moss was a burner. I don't know if he had a
Yeah.
4.29, but Santana Moss was fast as hell.
Yeah. He was smooth as fuck too. Like I can kind of see it if you like squint hard enough. All right, who we got next?
I don't really want to take Trey Harris, even though his production's crazy. I just like, man, he played that just fake ass offense. He played in that fake ass offense like with Ole Miss. Um, I think I'm gonna go because we're going tight end premium. I'm gonna go Colston Loveland, the tight
Yep.
end with the Michigan Wolverines. His tape last year was not that impressive. His tape before was incredibly impressive. Loveland is a huge prospect, like 6'6", smooth as hell. This guy's a bona fide wide receiving tight end. I don't know how much he's going to block. I don't think he's a negative like in the blocking game, but I think that's more Tyler Warren's game.
Yeah.
If I had to guess in terms of a landing spot, Loveland to the Chargers. Seems like a match made in heaven. Harbaugh gets his old guy, and I think the Harbaugh offense needs a good tight end, right? That's
Yes.
kind of the lifeblood of the offense. So I don't know if Loveland will go in the first round, but his 2023 tape is exceptionally good for a tight end, and considering that teams are looking for difference makers, stretch the seam to be wide receiving type tight ends. Loveland is that prospect, in my opinion.
Yeah. If Warren is gone, Loveland is the pick at 22. Like it just feels like a no-brainer if he's there. And to your point, yeah, it feels like a tight end would really help unlock things. Um, you know, the Chargers really didn't have that big body like safety blanket in that offense last year, and I
No.
feel like Justin Herbert needs that and would really excel. Like we even had like some Will Disley games where I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude!" Like we've got something going. Then he got banged up like quite a bit throughout the season, but I
He
think
did, yeah.
like having someone like Loveland in that offense, like I think they need another wide receiver too, but they need the tight end position also. Like you've got your grinder and Najee at running back. Like you you need your junkyard dog at tight end and Loveland, and then you can figure out your other wide receiver, whether it be bring home Keenan Allen or something. Who knows? But I do like Loveland, especially in tight end premium. I think that's a really good pick there. All right,
All right.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go Jaxson Dart. Jaxson Dart's a really interesting prospect to me, and I think like I just can't tell. I just can't tell like what he's going to do. So I don't think he ends up starting in the NFL in his rookie season, at least not right away. But there's a lot to like, especially just looking at like how he did year over year. This is a guy that just consistently got better. He had his whatever freshman year at USC, transferred, and then through 3 years at Ole Miss, like really just got better year over year. The yards, the completion percentage, the touchdowns, the interceptions, like everything trended the right way year over year, 3 years in a row, and really did kind of come into his own. Has a decent amount of rushing upside too. Averaged about like 500 yards on the ground per season at Ole Miss too. So I wouldn't say it's quite Bo Nix in terms of like the rushing upside, but in terms of like the profile, he's got a better arm, probably a bit lower rushing upside, but this is a guy that I think could be a good NFL QB. Like you watch the tape and there is a lot to like. Like the arm especially stands out to me. Like that's a very live NFL arm, deep balls, short stuff, intermediate. It feels like he can cover the entire field. So, yeah, in the second round, just after the turn, hopefully like you grab like a skill player or something, in this case, we had Cam Ward there. It's, you're probably not picking two QBs here, but just like in the slot itself at 2-3, I think you could do a lot worse than Jaxson Dart as we really start to get into some unknowns at the other skill positions.
Dart right now, consensus is the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21.
I'd like that.
I
like
think if he's a first round pick, he's going to go in this range. I'm like pretty confident that he would go in this range.
I think he could potentially go even earlier. But to your point, yeah, like the Steelers would actually be really cool because maybe they just not draft Aaron Rodgers. They sign Rodgers to a 1 year. Jaxson Dart sits for a year and then lets it rip here in 2026. I think that's a good outcome for him.
Dart reminds me of JJ McCarthy. I think they're similar. JJ played in a pro style offense. Dart played in like the most optimized for college, one of the more optimized for college offenses. So he's a tougher eval in my opinion.
Yeah, Kiffin let him absolutely rip it at Ole Miss. It was awesome.
Yeah. 204. I'm taking Cam Skattebo.
There we go.
Taking Scat. The name of the game in this rookie draft, folks, just take the running backs. Skattebo is an interesting guy. 5'9". Skattebo is 5'9", 220. We all saw what he did in the college football playoff. He's just an interesting prospect because he's big and white and slow, but man, he dominated. He dominated, dude. He put that team on his back. So yeah, I think he's a fun pick here. Comp to Kareem Hunt in some models, which I think is cool. So yeah, I think he's well worth the risk here, especially considering how ridiculous his production was last year. I think that's kind of an easy one for me in this range. In terms of where he's mocked and where he's at in terms of consensus big board, 77th overall over on Mock Draft Database. Borderline day 3, day 2 pick. I think he will be a day 2 pick, and I think he will be a round 3 running back. And we could go through the top list of all the teams that need running backs, but it's the Raiders. The Vikings just brought in Jordan Mason. Wouldn't be shocked if the Vikings took a running back. I definitely think that Pittsburgh needs a running back. He'd be an unreal fit in the Steel City.
Oh, that would be such a Steelers running back.
Yeah, and I think if you're also looking at guys, Chicago needs a running back. Buffalo could see James Cook walk. Maybe they want to bring him in. I don't know. Dallas for sure. So they're good landing spots for Skattebo, and I think he will be a day 2 pick. So I'm happy to take him here at the spot in the draft.
Yeah, this is actually exactly where I had him too. Here at 16 was where I had him on my list. So I like him. I think there's a lot to like. Just absolutely gritty. The Steel City would be such a good fit for this guy.
All right, who you got next?
Here's where like Ian really just started throwing darts. But I think you just mentioned him a second ago. I'll go with Trey Harris.
Yeah.
So I go back and forth here between Trey Harris and Jayden Higgins, which I think is pretty fitting. As I think these guys are going to be drafted very close to each other in the real NFL draft as well. Like I just pulled up like a quick like 2 round mock, and like one of them's got Higgins at 50 to Seattle and Trey Harris at 46 to Atlanta. Atlanta would be a sweet landing spot for Trey Harris. Put him next to Drake London. I'd be pretty stoked about that. But there's a lot to
Kansas City.
like, man, in terms of like what he did in what was it, 8 games last year, right?
Insane production.
Like
Insane production. His
the pro-
production's nuts.
the production's sick, and it's like I don't know. Ole Miss has kind of just been pumping out wide receivers too. It's like I'm kind of just dipping back into the well that's kind of been rewarding us over the last couple of years. So the size is super exciting. 6'3", 210. Not quite DK-esque, but big fucking dude, very fast, strong hands. Can beat you at any level of the field. So I think Trey Harris is a really fun pick here. This is kind of in that tier 2 of wide receivers, or I guess you could maybe even call it tier 3, depending on how you're kind of breaking them up. Trey Harris is a fun pick here.
Played 5 years in college, transferred to Ole
Yeah.
Miss, didn't break out at Louisiana Tech until his 3rd year. He's a risky profile, but what he did last year was nuts.
In the
Nuts.
SEC. In
Yeah.
the SEC, too.
I mean, it's kind of similar to Xavier Legette. Now he's more productive. He's more of a I think he's a better profile than Legette, but it's a similar type prospect in terms of what you're looking at from like a historical production. But it's hard, man. I don't like you get into this area of the draft and you're like, all right, who am I taking here? You got Isaiah Bond, you got Jayden Higgins, you got the kid from Stanford.
I know. Like, yeah, these next couple of wideouts are interesting. Who you going here, though?
I think I'm gonna reach. It's just a player that I really like right now, and that's Jaylin Noel.
So you like Noel over Higgins?
I do. I do like Noel over Higgins. And they're both really good players. And so what we're referencing here is the Iowa State just randomly having 2 incredible receivers on their team last year who went over 1,000. I just really like Noel. He's 5'10", 194. He's gotten comped to Randall Cobb. He could be a really explosive, productive player out of the slot. Christian Kirk has been someone that's been thrown around with Jaylen Noel. And man, he was nasty downfield, dude. He was pretty ridiculous. They gave him a lot of manufactured touches too, which I love to see. So Noel or Higgins is kind of a toss-up. I think they could go back-to-back in these drafts.
Yeah.
But I just like fast slot receivers, and I think Noel can bring a lot to an NFL offense.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think him and Higgins are very different. I think I lean Higgins, but like they were both super. I think they both cleared 1,000 yards last year. Like they were both.
It did.
They were both super productive, and kind of it's just like a choose your flavor. And then landing spots too. Like I'd assume they're probably both going to get drafted in the 2nd round. Maybe one of them falls to the 3rd round, but those are both day 2 picks. So like these guys are going to play.
Yeah, I think they're day 2.
Yeah, they're both day 2
and
picks.
Noel could be used as a punt returner, kick returner. He's that kind of player. He's dynamic. He does a lot, and he's excelled in a lot of areas, which I like as a prospect.
Yeah.
In terms of like a fit, Cowboys. I think I'm just gonna keep going back to the Cowboys. Well, I like the Chargers. I like the Rams as well for Noel.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I'll pick his buddy then. Yeah, give me Jayden Higgins. Yeah, I thought about doing it with Harris. Jayden Higgins, man. Yeah, he had a really good combine too in terms of combine and Senior Bowl. Both of the Iowa State guys really excelled at both of those. But this is the guy that's really fun to watch. Last 2 years at Iowa State were super productive, about 1,000 yards both seasons. It's just like it's very smooth with this guy. It's very smooth. He's faster than he looks too. At 6'4", 225, just like runs like an absolute gazelle. Super sure-handed. Definite wide receiver 2 profile. But I think a really strong one. Like this is the guy that like slots in at your Z, like on the weak side, can like absolutely attract attention over there. But he's good, man. He's good. Like Like you watch the tape and it's not the most exciting. Like Trey Harris makes you want to stand up a little bit. Whereas you're watching Jayden Higgins and you're like, man, that was nice.
It's a little slower. Yeah.
Like I enjoy that. Like
Michael Pittman.
Yeah,
Yeah, Michael Pittman. That's
takes a sip of coffee. You're like, yeah, that was nice. Like that was nice. So it's not nearly as exciting, but I think he's going to be a really good NFL player. I hope it translates into fantasy as well. But I think like good NFL player for sure, and hopefully we translate it into some good fantasy production as a wide receiver too.
At this point, man, I'm battling my demons. I'm just gonna do it. Give me Harold Fannin.
Really?
Give me Harold Fannin, the tight end from Bowling Green. Sometimes you just got to get your guy in. Sometimes you just got to get him.
GYG.
We've talked a lot about Harold Fannin. He didn't test incredibly well, but he didn't test poorly by any means at the combine. He is one of the more unique players I've watched since we've had this podcast. He is a bowling ball of butcher knives when you watch the guy.
This guy can't.
In the
zero
open
hips.
field.
Zero hips.
He has the stiffest hips I've seen, and I've seen people say that his legs may be different lengths, and that's why he runs the way that he does.
Interesting.
And when he was doing the gauntlet at the combine, his knees were banging together. It is a really weird player to watch, but when he catches the ball, and he catches it basically every single time he's targeted, he makes literally everybody miss. It wasn't just because he was dunking on poor competition at Bowling Green. He beat the absolute dog shit out of Penn State and Texas A&M. Dude was putting up crazy numbers. He led the entire nation in receiving yards and did it as a 20-year-old. It's all about draft capital for Fannin, in my opinion. He could be a day 3 guy. If he's a day 2 guy, though, you got to feel pretty good about Fannin.
Yeah, man. I was just thinking about watching the Gauntlet.
The Niners. Get me to the Niners, man. Give me Harold Fannin on the Niners. That would make me so happy.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll do it, but it'd be so sweet.
The production was absolutely fucking nuts last year. No way around it. What you said he accounted for 50% of their receiving yards,
yes.
right?
He had a 50 receiving dominator. Never seen that.
It's just silly from a tight end.
Half the offense.
And like you could tell he's really athletic, but like it's so stiff. It's so unbelievably stiff. Like the
It's
gauntlet
weird.
drill, I can't stop thinking about like the last ball he caught in the gauntlet drill and then like made like a 90-degree angle to turn. I'm like, Jesus Christ, get into your running, man. But Harold Fannin's super interesting, dude. Like absolutely large human being, uber athletic. Doesn't profile much as a blocker, unfortunately. He's fine. He's fine. I think the tight ends before him are far stronger in that area, which is why they're going to go higher. Like I even think the Oregon guy might sneak in ahead of Fannin. Blanket on his name off the top of my head.
The Texas guy too is Mason Taylor.
It's a good tight end class, but I like it here, man. Yeah, at this point, like you're starting to throw darts. I think early round 2, like you still got some guys, whereas as you get a little farther along here, it starts to get a little darker.
It gets dark. It's getting dark currently.
Which running back do I want?
Or Isaiah Bond's out there. He's fine.
He's fast, I guess. I'll go Devin Neal. Devin Neal's another guy where I'm like, this is going to be a good NFL running back, and I hope it translates into fantasy production. But just super productive at Kansas, man. 4-year player, 3 straight years over 1,000 yards, had 16 touchdowns both of the last 2 seasons, caught like 20 plus balls each of those years too. It's like this isn't the sexiest pick. A comp that I thought was really interesting here was I heard Devonta Freeman for Devin Neal. Like it might take a year or 2 for him to like fall into a starting role, but just like really solid running back here. It's like nothing elite in my opinion by any means, but like the production's here. He's got the size, 5'11", 215. He's not too big, not too small. Kind of falls like right into that stereotypical running back size. Like towards the end of this, now we're in that kind of like weird range of running backs. There's a handful of like everyone's kind of got like 1 or 2 like elite traits, and it's kind of like like who are you feeling? But I like Devin Neal. Like the production itself, like 3 years in a row at Kansas, is really impressive to me.
Yeah, he's a 3-down guy. He's going to be on the field. Like he has the potential to be a workhorse in the NFL, and you're going to get him at the end of the 2nd round. And in last year's running back draft, he probably is the 2nd running back off the board, maybe after Jonathan Brooks. It was a weak class last year.
It was.
He's good. He's good. I
I
don't
was
know if
shocked
he's going
more
to carve out a
RBs didn't
significant.
leave last year. Like
Yeah,
GT
I know,
still
he
would
sure
have been a
left.
big time pick. This guy, yeah, like Neal could have left, but yeah, we'll see. This will be pretty team dependent. Like he'll be a part of a committee. This doesn't figure a guy that's gonna like step in as the starting running back right away.
I'll take Bond here at the 210. He had a lot of hype coming into the season. Was pretty mixed. I'd say kind of Golden stole his thunder a little bit. He was supposed to run a super fast 40. He did run a fast 40, but
Yeah, he said he's
it
gonna like
wasn't
break
like
the record or
blazing.
something. We're like,
Yes,
and then
yeah. I mean, he, again, he's one of these transfers from Alabama, I believe. I don't know. Like he played at Alabama. He didn't do anything as a freshman. He was good as a sophomore to an extent, right? Um, but I don't know. There's just a lot. There's a lot to be desired. But he could be a decent and productive player in the NFL. JJ Zacharyson has him comped to Henry Ruggs, John Mechie, and McCole Hardman. He's 5'11", 180.
yeah, he's fast as shit.
So
But I think in the right system, he could be really fun and like with like a smart, like I don't know, like in a Miami or fuck even in
yeah,
Chicago or something. You know, like someone with like a really good offensive coordinator, I think could get like some good design touches out of him. But this guy doesn't profile as like a full route tree, full field dominator. But again, man, we're at the end of round 2 here. Like we're taking upside here. Like it's all about upside swings here.
he's the 77th player on the mock draft database right now.
Okay.
Bond. So borderline. He's basically on the edge of being a day 3 pick.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty fair. I gotta go get my guy here. So this is a guy that we talked about a couple of weeks. I'm gonna get my guy Tuten. What a fucking
Wow,
combine!
let's go.
What a combine! I think this guy tested his way into day 2. He was probably more of a day 3 pick before that, but man, just absolutely blazing 40. Like he was in, I think it was like the top 3 or top 5 running backs for every single drill at the combine. And then you watch the tape too, and it's like he's more than just speed. Like he's running in between the tackles, he's breaking tackles, and then like he does have that breakaway speed once he gets there. But this is a really interesting running back, man. Like when I was watching the tape, like before we were talking about combine sleepers, I'm like, man, this guy's pretty fun to watch. And then I watched him just tear up the combine, and I was like, hell yeah, I've been vindicated here. So this is a guy that again is going to be like more of a committee back, but like I don't know, man. Like you think of like H-Chan type speed and like gimmicky, like who's to say like Tuden can't hit and be like that type of diamond in the rough here. There's a couple of like really fast guys here. I think Dylan Sampson's another really fun one here. That I could have gone with, but like
Yeah.
Tune is so fucking fast. Like speed kills in the NFL. And like it's not fake speed. Like you watch it, you're like, holy shit. Like that's a different gear.
Oh,
he's
he's
4.3 fast.
explosive. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's explosive on
Yeah.
tape. He really is. JJ Zacharyson has a Zap model, and this is his first line in the Tuten page. There are only 3 running backs with top 200 draft capital who captured a 110 speed score while measuring under 5'10 and 215 pounds. Those 3 running backs are Jerick McKinnon, Kenneth Walker, Jahmyr Gibbs. Bhayshul Tuten is projected to be the 4th. It's a good list. All 3 of those guys have been valuable contributors in fantasy at some point in their career.
Yep.
I think Tuten is going to shock people how high he goes because he isn't small. He isn't small. I might be short, but he's 5'9", 206 and running a 4.32. Like teams are desperate for home run hitters in the running game, and Bhayshul Tuten is that. He is a walking home run.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Raheem Mostert in that sense.
Yeah.
You will have to pair him with someone who's probably a little bit more adept at running between the tackles. He is stiff as hell too. Like he isn't. I mean, he did force a bunch of missed tackles, but he seems like a wide create running lane type running back, and just watch him exploit it either in the screen game, shovel passes, wide zone. I think Tuten could thrive in the modern NFL.
I agree. He earned himself some money at the combine. I'd be shocked if he makes it out of day 2.
He played to that speed too. He played to it for sure. He did.
All right, who are you taking us home with here?
I don't know.
You want
I
Milrow?
don't, I don't know. Milrow again, convert him to running back. I could be pretty interested.
Yeah, you see, he ran like a 4.3 the other day.
He's so fast.
He's so fucking fast, but the arm is so inaccurate.
He took a
Like
step back.
it's brutal. I don't think it's like a rich levels of inaccuracy, but it's pretty similar. Like it's just like, how do you not make that? Like it's right there in front of you, pal.
I might just take I might take Dylan Sampson,
There you go.
Tennessee. Dylan Sampson. His production wasn't insane by any means at Tennessee, but the tape bros love him.
They do.
They love him.
He's getting comped to most of actually quite a bit too.
I'm seeing Blake Corum, Devonta Freeman, Ronnie Hillman as potential comps. I think this guy is probably going to be a day 2 pick, but he could be a day 3 pick.
Yeah.
If he's a day 2 pick, he belongs probably in the second round.
Yeah,
Any running back that goes in the first 2 days, I think should probably be in this second round here because this class is so loaded.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Sampson. I'm not in love with him, but he's 5'8", 200, clears the BM thresholds. I think he tested pretty well, so I'm a fan of Sampson.
Yeah. We've got 9 running backs here. No, did I count that right? No, it's 9 running backs, and I think it's pretty accurate. Like it could even be more. Could even be more in terms of how they're going to fall here in your mocks or in your actual draft. Sorry,
that's 2 rounds. I think we'll break this up into 2 episodes. Aidan.
Yeah. Okay.
Do like a round 1, round 2.
Cool.
I don't know unless people want to rock with us for an hour and 10 minutes on one continuous episode, but. Wow, that was the most comprehensive we've talked draft. That was something.
Oh, we got in there. It felt good. We haven't gotten this deep in it, which is nice. We have a full month now to kind of dive into each position by itself, talk about our favorite guys and whatnot. So no, this was a good exercise. Hopefully it helps people understand the general landscape here about a month out.
All right, Aidan. I appreciate you hopping on. Thank you everybody for tuning in. It's always a blast to talk NFL draft. Enjoy March Madness. Enjoy the weekend, lads. And we'll see you next week. Until next time.